The reason why I'm buying SEI over Bitcoin is because I simply believe that hypothetically it just has a lot more room to grow. Now, of course, that's not financial advice, but hear me out when it comes to this, because when it comes to SEI, for instance, if it were to go to the price of $20 during this bull run, that right there would be around a 45x from here. And considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $70 billion, which, by the way, isn't crazy at all. We've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion of market cap, and we've seen BNB reach over $100 billion of market cap. So yeah, this isn't insane in my opinion. But even besides that, can, Bitcoin, for instance, do around a 45x from here? Absolutely not, especially during this bull run. I'm not saying the long term. I'm just saying exclusively during this bull run, I just don't think so. Could it do maybe like a 4x or something like that as a most bullish case scenario? Yeah, why not? 3x. But in my opinion, again, over a 40x, I just don't see it during this bull run. For instance, if Bitcoin were to do, 45x from here, market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around $55 trillion. And then at that point, the price would be around $2.8 million. Yeah, I just don't see it during this bull run. The GDP of Canada back in 2022 was around $2 trillion. So yeah, this is kind of unrealistic, again, during this bull run. But even besides that, am I necessarily saying that Bitcoin is bad and that SEI doesn't depend on it? No, I'm not saying that. SEI, along with a lot of other altcoins out there, is going to greatly depend on Bitcoin. I can't deny that. And of course, I think Bitcoin is going to do pretty good during this bull run. Like, for instance, you take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, also the amount of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption, it's amazing. So I think Bitcoin could do pretty good again during this bull run. But I think that SEI could hypothetically do amazing because it has a very low market cap, way lower than Bitcoin, of course, naturally. And as a result of that, it doesn't really require that much volume to really push it up, so to speak. So that's why I really like SEI. It's very amazing. Not to mention, it's actually allegedly the world's fastest parallel blockchain, which is kind of crazy to think about because sometimes people like to say, oh, this blockchain is amazing. Oh, this one, right? But then they don't really back it up with the statistics or the data. But when it comes to SEI, man, its data pretty much, again, showcases why it's arguably one of the best. You take a look at, for instance, the transaction finality time of Bitcoin is 60 minutes. So that's basically an hour long. That's a very long time. Now, it's not directly comparable to something like SEI. I understand that, but I think this is a fair analysis, nonetheless, considering the video topic. But even besides that, let's say we shift the focus to like other, players, right, that are more so competitors when it comes to SEI. You take a look at, for instance, Ethereum is 6 minutes. So yeah, it's still, not as bad as Bitcoin, but again, it's still kind of long, actually, in this day and age, in my opinion, because you take a look at Solana. Solana's just around 2.5 seconds. That's crazy. But you want to know something that's even more legendary? That's something like SEI. SEI currently is just 380 milliseconds. That right there is literally less than half a second. That's how crazy it is. I mean, this is how amazing SEI is. Sometimes people don't understand this. They're like, oh yeah, it's trash, it's caca, all this type of stuff. But fundamentally, it's arguably one of the best in my opinion. However, it doesn't end there because, for instance, you take a look at how it can currently facilitate 12,500 transactions per second. And it's even been able to process over 1 billion transactions, which is insane. You want to know something else that has been able to facilitate over like 1 billion transactions? It's Avalanche. And people oftentimes like to say that, oh, SEI is the little brother to Avalanche and Solana. But I think that right there is quite frankly extremely disrespectful. I mean, come on, right? We're after all talking about the world's fastest parallel blockchain here. It can't be the little brother to Solana and Avalanche. At least that's the way I view it. I mean, this is amazing. Now, granted, it doesn't have the fans or hype like an Avalanche or Solana, for instance, let alone Ethereum. But in my opinion, it's getting up there. And it's actually very amazing because I think projects, built on SEI, it's really going to have such a high ceiling because you take a look at what are the main gripes, right, when it comes to Ethereum. Sky-high gas fees. It's arguably not even scalable. Even though there are many Ethereum layer 2s out there that combats this type of nonsense, it's still not that great seeing that, especially in this day and age, especially Ethereum at its core. SEI may not have the ecosystem, the fans, the hype of an Ethereum, but in my opinion, foundationally, it's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, again, I don't think SEI is bad at all. Not to mention, we take a look at how SEI is currently being supported by Circle. Now, Circle is actually the creator of USDC, the stablecoin. So when you think about that, this is amazing. USDC is a massive stablecoin. Everyone pretty much knows about that. It's typically USDT, USDC. It's like 1A or 1B, right? Or 1B and 1A, whatever the case may be. It's just like kind of interchangeable when people think about the premier, stablecoin. So when you think about that, being supported by Circle, that right there is fantastic. Not to mention, SEI is also supported by, Coinbase. Now, Coinbase is, one of the biggest exchanges out there, very reputable. So when they support something, they're not going to support some random caca nonsense. Neither will Circle, right? They're not going to be doing that. So when it comes to SEI, man, it showcases just how special they are. Again, these real deal entities, they're not going to choose something that's complete caca, and I don't think SEI is caca at all. Now, let's not forget, right, when it comes to SEI, there are many amazing AI and DeFi projects that are starting to sprout up, in its ecosystem. I think this right here could be a major key because you take a look at, for instance, AI market predicted to be worth nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. That's insane. Yet again, according to Grandview Research, the DeFi market, aka the decentralized finance market, also by that year in 2030, is expected to be valued at over $200 billion. While nowhere near the AI market, it's still pretty impressive nonetheless. So I think it's great news seeing that, type of stuff, quite essentially, on the SEI ecosystem. This is very amazing, at least in my opinion. So with all that being said, again, I don't think SEI is going to do bad at all during this bull run. And if I could only put all my eggs into one basket, hands down, it's going to be SEI, because I think room for growth is much more fantastic. And I think that fundamentally, man, it's just very revolutionary. Not to mention, there's now over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. That's over 500 million, more than ever before in history. Also, on top of that, you take a look at, the amazing factors that could very well come as a result of that. The buying pressure, the buying volume, it's going to be insane. So I think this right here is, of course, going to contribute to a potentially very legendary bull run. And I really can't wait because even historically speaking, we may not be waiting that much longer. Typically, altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event, which would actually mean October of next year because the last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April. Now, this worst case could happen a lot sooner, but either way, I'm prepared because I'm dollar cost averaging. Anytime an income, I'm acquiring, I'm holding, and I'm just waiting. That's it. I like to keep things simple. I prefer SEI over Bitcoin because personally, in my opinion, I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies to look for potential gains. I'm not looking for dinosaurs. I'm not looking for like a 3x, you know what I mean? I'm just not looking for that. Some people out there, they say that, oh yeah, having a lot of like cash doesn't buy happiness, all this type of stuff. I understand that. But sometimes we need that to fuel the mission. Like for instance, if Justin Bieber only got like $1 for every time he sung like some songs or whatever, of course he's not going to be a musician. He's going to be like, yeah, whatever, man. He's just not going to probably do that. Because of course, people need that to survive, right? Like for instance, what do we need to pay the bills, to help our friends, to help our family, to go on vacation, to have fun, right? Of course, there sometimes need to be a cash aspect involved with that, even though it may not necessarily like buy someone's happiness. That's not the case. I'm not saying that. But again, sometimes we need it for like eating out and stuff like that. So of course, that right there is why I'm looking for potential gains. I'm not looking for dinosaurs. That's just the way I view it. So again, if I only had like one option, either SEI or Bitcoin, hands down, it's going to be SEI. That's a no-brainer pick for me, man. If I got into Bitcoin like 10 years ago, yeah, I understand that. But as of right now, I'm looking for the next big thing. I'm not looking for the big thing, if that makes sense. And by the way, if you want to join my Discord, feel free to do so. The link is in the description down below. And you may be wondering, okay, why should I do that, right? It's because on there, you can interact with me on a closer basis. You can gain access to my portfolio. You can take a look at it. Maybe I can also review your portfolio. And also on top of that, you'll know what projects I'm looking at also as well. And we can discuss all about projects and maybe even about content creation as well. If you want to ask me about how to make videos, create an upload schedule, all this type of stuff, I can do that. Not to mention, people can also join to become a channel member if they want, a guaranteed response from me in the comments down below, because quite frankly, there's a lot of comments as of right now. I can't respond to every single one of them. I used to, but as of right now, it's becoming increasingly difficult. So yeah, feel free to also join the channel member if you would like to do so. However, again, SEI at the price of $20 during this bull run, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.